Welcome back to my channel. I thought this week could be kind of fun to do a retrospective on all of my different Halloween vibey aesthetic things that I've done over the past few years, and also my Halloween decor. It was interesting when I started going back through to find some of these images just to see how much my style has grown. So I thought this could be just kind of fun. We'll take a look back. We'll start back, I want to say in 2018 is probably the furthest back that I have documentation for. It was also when my first real time, I guess, living alone in an apartment. So this is kind of when the concept of decor, interior decorating, holidays kind of started to develop for me. So I'm gonna go through some of my old images and talk you through just kind of what my logic was, or just reminisce with you today, because I am not decorating this weekend. I have family coming to visit. So let's begin. So just to let you know how big of a Halloween vibe fan I am, autumn is my absolute favorite time of year. So I used to live really close to this amazing cemetery in my very first apartment in Minnesota. And I loved this cemetery. I used to just go drive through it at least once a week. I can't remember what day this was specifically, but I had some time. So I went in there and I was like, you know what? All of the leaves are changing. It is beautiful. I'm gonna do a spooky photo shoot. Of course, it was in the middle of the day, so I had to kind of edit it to add in the fog, but just to kind of give you the vibe or of my internal soul for this, I quite love Halloween, spooky, cemeteries, autumn, fall, all of it. If I could just inject that into my veins and have it be fall all the time, I would. So this is how nerdy I am. Also, I don't know if you noticed how much I love and adore my mantles. I need a mantle in every home, apartment, whatever that I live in. So this first apartment did not have a mantle. It did have a fake fireplace. Maybe they were real at one point, but it did have a fake fireplace that I had a really cool insert for, but no mantle. There was just kind of this weird little hole cut out in the wall, and I didn't like that. So I installed a shelf that I could use, like a floating shelf, as like a mantle that you can see in this picture. And then I stuck a mirror that my stepmom gave me over the hole in the wall. And then, as you can see, still very early on in my decorating journey. Again, first real solo apartment. So I didn't have much, and I was not making a lot of money at that time, so I couldn't afford much. But I had a little chandelier, and I think like a little candle holder. I still have both of those to this day. This image was the best I could do for a table centerpiece for my little coffee table. Looks like I had a fun little Halloween mug there too, but yeah, that was the extent of my decorating for the table. I do think I have, my friend and I went to get pumpkins that year. I'll show you this photo. This is how nerdy I am. I love pumpkins. I also especially love really weird pumpkins, or pumpkins that are not your traditional just flat orange. So I found this pumpkin and it was my favorite pumpkin, and as you can see from the photos, I loved it. It was my baby. And then I bought all of these pumpkins, and I didn't have like a deck or a porch or anything because I was in an apartment, and I had some glass pumpkins, so I kind of mixed them around this fireplace, which actually now you can see the really cool insert. I'm looking this way because my computer screen is this way, but I will put the images on this side. So yeah, that was my very first apartment. I was only there for a year. I loved that apartment aesthetically. It looked like this old castle. It was very cool. However, it was very old and very, very centipede infested. By the time I left there, I was not sleeping. I stayed at like a Motel 6 one night with my cat because of how bad the centipedes were. I would wake up at night and I would have at least 6 on my wall. We tried everything. I had them come spray. I started blocking holes within the apartment, like the bases around the floorboards. Yeah. I would not go back. It was a time in my life that I would not go back to. I started working a second job after that so I could afford a nicer apartment in the future years. But here are some more fun just autumn vibey photos. This was that cemetery that I love. Do I have good pictures? I have some pictures. This is probably the best shot of it, where you kind of can see the tombstones and then just how pretty the leaves were there. I think it is like a known site for a lot of locals to go there during the fall. I just love that place. I can miss it. Maybe I should go over there and visit again. But that was pretty much it for my first year. Took some fun photos with friends. Oh, I saw a picture of my kitty. Yeah, her little bed next to the pumpkins. She passed last year, so she is no longer with me, but I adored that cat and she adored me, and I miss her every day. She also kind of fit the spooky vibe. She was an all black cat. So next year, 2019, I had moved into a significantly nicer apartment, or at least a significantly newer apartment. It was also a lot nicer, just, it was nice. I was up higher, I had a beautiful view, the building was newer. However, because I had just moved in, I want to say I moved in around August, and I started a new job doing, and this was an easier job for me. This was like just something I enjoyed doing, but I found myself needing a little more income, and then a lot of times after I'd get home from work, I would just sit on the couch and do nothing but shop, or that was like my pastime, and I needed something more creative and something to engage me more other than just work and home. And I missed back in the previous place I lived, I used to do a lot of art. Like I would teach at art school or teach art at local elementary schools, and I missed that. So I found a job at a paint and sip place, and I loved that place, but my first month or so working there, I believe, was through October. They had me scheduled so many hours, and I do work a full-time job on top of that. I did then too, so I was literally never home. So I remember moving into this apartment and not unpacking for the longest time, and anytime I needed to like wash stuff, I had like overflowing piles of laundry baskets and clothes everywhere. At some point, people came into my apartment to check for like a maintenance thing. They left me a note saying, hey, we need you to clean so that we can access this, and I was mortified because I was like, I just haven't even been home. I didn't even get the note that they were coming into the apartment because I had not seen it in the craziness that was this year. So as you can see, this year was very uninspired also for Halloween. You can see the glass pumpkins from the previous apartment are still there. I added that looks like a silver one. And I had one pumpkin pillow on my couch. I feel like I had to have had more than that. Oh, you can see the bat. You can't really tell. I can tell, but there's like the little bat candle holder I had at the previous place on one of my end tables. Maybe I had some bottles, it looks like, some potion-like bottles. But yeah, it was pretty minimal. I was just surviving. It is kind of interesting to look back and just realize how much, especially in the fall and autumn time frame, I am just trying to get through because things get so busy. Ooh, here's a really pretty picture of the view from that apartment. One direction anyway. I had bought this old chandelier at a secondhand place that clearly does not work, and I rehung new little crystals on it and then hung it out on my balcony because I did have a balcony in that apartment. And I just thought it was like the cutest little thing. It made it have its own little vibe out there. Not that I spent a ton of time on the balcony, but I liked it because there weren't many bugs either because I was so high up. That was the vibe for me. I don't think I had anything else from that year. Oh, I helped paint some pumpkins. This was my pumpkin that I painted for, I think I did it for work. They were having like a kids event or something, so I painted this pumpkin where it wasn't too scary. It was just kind of cute and fun. It might have been based off of a pumpkin I saw online somewhere that I just made quick during the workday. Oh, speaking of the paint and sip place, this would have been one of the paintings I did. They had me do a lot of the kids classes on the weekend because I had previous experience teaching kids. So this was likely one of the kids' weekend classes where I taught them how to paint a little ghosty and a pumpkin for the Halloween time. I don't know who Anna was, but Anna was there. I'm assuming she also painted a pumpkin and a ghostie. Okay, so this is funny. Each year at work, and I don't like to talk about work much on here, but we do a Halloween dress-up contest. I have one the previous year where we dressed up as dinosaurs and we made our boss, cause the whole thing was we had to make something for our boss and he never knew what was going on. And we made him a Jurassic Park Jeep out of cardboard that he could wear and like carry around, and we would run after him as dinosaurs. It was a really good time. This is always very fun for us to do. Hi again. You will notice that I am changed and looking significantly more tired. When I was filming that last video, my family arrived, so I had to stop and go let them in and spend time with them, and then I worked really late last night, so I am exhausted. But refocusing now in on all of the Halloween goodness. That year was also the year I shot a wedding, so I did photos for a Halloween themed wedding, and it ended up snowing so much the night before, but it looked really pretty in the photos, so I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, so I think that was most of the stuff for that year. Oh, and one more beautiful shot from my old apartment balcony. I loved watching the leaves change from that place. Was just stunning. I do have a pretty good view from my current place as well. Obviously a little bit of a different vibe, but I just love the fall leaves. Okay, now we're definitely into 2020, which was kind of a weird year. If everyone remembers, I'm sure no one can forget. I remember I decided to have a Halloween get-together. This was like the first of my Halloween feasts that I did with friends. So there was only 3 of us, a couple friends, and then I opened my balcony doors because we were still supposed to be social distancing at that point. So I opened my balcony door to let air circulate. We kind of sat at separate areas within my living room so that we could all be together and share food and have this time, but still have some space. That was just a crazy year to think back on. Let's see if I can find some of the photos. That was another early snow year, it seems. Or maybe that was from 2020, the wedding. Oh, more pictures of my kitty. Yeah, with some of the Halloween decorations, because I had like a ledge in my apartment, kind of overlooking the big windows that went out to the balcony. That's kind of where I did most of my decorating at that point because I didn't have a mantle. So it was really that, and then I had a little TV stand was all I could use to decorate on. So you can see the glass pumpkins again that I carried over. I remember getting this bird cage from like I think it was from Goodwill, and then I spray painted it black. It was a white wicker, or like a white wood. Spray painted it black to be vibey for Halloween, and then I stuck that raven inside. So these were a couple of the different photos from the actual dinner. I made these little like squash bowls and put mac and cheese. I think it was literally an acorn squash mac and cheese that I put into these little acorn squash bowls. I remember it being pretty good. I was impressed with the mac and cheese. I also tried to make like a dump cake into these little ceramic cauldrons that I had. That was okay. The ratio, because of the cauldron, got a little wonky with the amount. I think I did raspberry dump cake because I was like, it looks a little more spooky, it's more red, and I like raspberry better than pineapple, so I was trying to figure that out. It was good, but it was a lot of jam, so the ratios were just off. One of my friends brought cider in the mason jars, and then the other friend brought the veggie plate. So that was our little get together. Spooky, good time, using that candelabra again, that little bat candelabra. Oh, and then that year I went to, was it that year? No. Okay, so 2021, I went to Salem in the month of October. I was in Massachusetts for a family wedding. Was it Massachusetts? general area, Massachusetts. And then because we were in that area and it was October, we went to Salem, my mom and I, and it was so much fun. I got pictures with the different houses from Hocus Pocus, and I love Hocus Pocus. It's one of my favorite movies growing up. I watched it every year. I still watch it every year I can. So I went to the to Max's house, and I forget the girl's name right now off the top of my head, but I went to both of those houses and took pictures. There's this really cool tattoo shop that I don't remember the name of. If I can find it, I'll put it in type. I think it was a tattoo shop, but took some fun spooky pictures there because when there, you can't miss that. This time feels like such a blur to me, 2020 to 2021, because we were still kind of like ramping back up into normal life functions in 2021, at least where I live and what I do. Yeah, it was a wild time. Oh, I think I went to my first anime convention that October. That was also a very busy October between the wedding. I think the anime convention was right around Halloween. My first time dressing up and going to that. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if I shared that yet. So every year I do the Papa Murphy's pumpkin pizza as like one of my traditions for Halloween. I get that every single year, the jack-o'-lantern pizza, and then I add black olives on it to make it look like it has the grooves, because I also love black olives and I don't feel like there's enough on that pizza. It's just pepperoni and then 2 little black olives for the eyes. So I add more black olives. But yeah, that's one of my fun Halloween traditions that I just do because I've done it since I was a kid and I enjoy it. The next year for Halloween, I had just moved into my house and I had to go to London for work within the month of October. I almost said August. That's not the right month. I swear Octobers are just always super busy for me. Which I guess I like. I love October. Probably my favorite month of the year. Oh yeah, this was for sure my first month or my first year in the house, because this is the mantle. Prior to receiving, I hadn't bought the mirror for the mantle yet in the living room. So this is what that looks like. I was so proud. That was like the first time where I was like, oh, this is good. I really enjoy this, because before I never really had the right space or the right layout for it. I put this together and I was like, this is it. This is the vibe. I think the bust I thrifted, the white bust I thrifted at a secondhand store. A lot of the other stuff on there actually that year came from Michael's. I think that black skeleton bust, which I still use, came from Michael's. The dripping candle came from Michael's, and the cauldron and the crystal ball. And then candlesticks I thrift. I think I've said that in other videos. Every time I go to the thrift store, I check the candle section for any brass candlesticks and candlestick holders, and I will grab them if they have them, especially if it's one that I like. I just like having the variety to be able to choose and having the different heights. Yeah, I also have a front porch. So I tried to hook up this skeleton in the front porch with a command strip. He fell. That scared me one morning pretty good. Loud crash out in the front porch. Oh yeah, you can see the leaves from my windows now. Still a beautiful view, but not quite the same as overlooking the lake and then just seeing beautiful golds and reds for miles basically. But still beautiful, just a different view. That year, my friends and I went to get pumpkins because that's what I always do, and this is me with my dorky little pumpkin. Oh, that was the year my friend and I carved pumpkins. That was the year of the trend with the pumpkin heads on social media. I don't know if you remember. So my friend and I did that with real pumpkins, these massive pumpkins. This was me at my table with all of my candlesticks and my pumpkin head. I didn't realize how heavy they would be. That thing like slowly crushed my neck. I forget how heavy the pumpkin was because it was pretty heavy. That was like the most expensive pumpkin I bought. But yeah, it was so heavy, even completely hollowed out as much as I could. It hurt. I had neck pain later. I'll hear the fun, the Polaroids we took. that was how we did it. I had my little Polaroid camera, and we went to local areas and just took photos, and then my house took photos in our pumpkin heads. We were dorks. And I dressed up as a witch that year for Halloween. I think we went and did some event somewhere, some spooky, I think it was like a spooky ghost story event somewhere with my friends. I don't remember where I got that chicken foot candle holder. Maybe Target one year? I don't know, but I do like that one too. It is a little crooked, so that bothers me, but otherwise I enjoy it. This was my first year I made this coffee table, but this was how I did my little coffee table layout with a bowl of candy. I don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters, which is incredibly sad to me. Yeah, I'm like, I give out Pokemon cards. I'll give out all this stuff. Granted, now that I've opened a bunch of those Pokemon card packs, there's not a lot of really good stuff in there, but still for kids, Pokemon cards. And I just don't get kids. I get maybe like 4 a year, maybe. And I think it's my neighbors because they know I really want kids to come trick-or-treating and they don't. I don't know if I have any anime fan followers on here yet, but I dressed up as Sugawara from Haikyuu that year, more or less. I just put on a gray wig, kind of a gender bent, but put on a gray wig. And my friend made this little Sugawara for me. So yeah, I matched him for Halloween. Ooh, is this 2023? Yeah, it's 2023. This was when I made sure I started decorating at the beginning of October because I think I traveled again this year, but this was the mantle that year. I think I've shared pictures of this on here before, but I had bought that Headless Horseman, I think, at Home Goods. I think at Home Goods. So that became like the centerpiece of the mantle that year. I had to shift you and the lighting keeps getting darker, so it's turning kind of spooky. But it's so funny because every year when I do these mantles, I actually look at them when I'm done initially and I'm like, I don't know if I'm feeling this. I don't know if this is as good. Every year I think back to that first one and I just feel like the first one was the best. But I don't think that's true because now looking back, I like this one just as much as I liked the first one. So yeah. I think the only real new additions, actually there are quite a few. Felt like it was a little too dark in that area. Granted, the candles lighted up a little bit, but I was like, I need some more colors. So I got the, there's the orange globe. It's technically a candle holder, but I don't ever use it as a candle holder. It just looks kind of like a creepy beaker to me. So I got that and put that there, and then that little glass, I don't know, it's almost like a knot or like a spiral. It's like a blown glass spiral, but it's orange. And I get those they have them at Home Goods, TJ Maxx. They have them in a few different colors. I was looking this year, they had orange, black, white. I can't remember what other colors they have. I think they had them in quite a few, and I was like, oh, that'd be a good addition. Like if you're just looking for a pop of color, I really like those, and I don't think they're too expensive, just to give like a different texture in a color that you're trying to target. I think is cool. Anyway, I do it. I like it, obviously. Oh, that was the year I built my mantle, or not my mantle, I guess my mantle. I built a fireplace in the room I'm using as like a library. So here you can see it in all its glory without the insert yet, because we hadn't put that in. But yeah, that was fun to start thinking about that too. And you can kind of see like, I just made that. My dad helped me. That was not something that came with the house, but kind of moved some of the lighter themes in there because that whole fireplace is a really dark gray. It's borderline black, but it's a really dark gray. But yeah, I don't even think I got the insert in before Halloween that year. So my like videos that I have of that room, they're all just from the top of that marble up because I didn't want to show the the gaping hole of the fireplace. Oh, my little town. This is 2023 now. I think I said that earlier, but this is what I mean when I say I feel like I live in Stardew Valley or Stars Hollow, but I specifically feel like it's more like Stardew Valley. just like cute little pumpkins just chilling outside, or you can walk up and buy pumpkins in the little main street area. It's very fall cozy game vibe, and I love it so much. Oh, I took pictures of my friend's dog as a ghost. That was fun. He was a cutie. I learned how hard it is to get a dog to sit still in a sheet and like line the holes up correctly. She and I were struggling with him quite a bit, but he's a cutie. I might have done the Halloween feast this year with my friends. Because I kind of have realized I've started doing it almost every other, depending on my availability. Oh, I guess I can show you what the mantle looked like completed at this point. This is what the fireplace looked like once it was done, more or less. And I was dog sitting. Yes, I for sure did a friend get together this year because I was dog sitting. So here was me with the little puppy dressed up as a pineapple. But yeah, that was the same day as our little friend Halloween feast. I think I tried to recreate the mac and cheese. Yeah, here I tried to recreate the mac and cheese, and I don't think I did as good of a job. I think the pumpkins are pretty good. If I remember correctly, what did I put in the middle? I saw, I forget who did the tutorial now because it's been so long, but I saw a tutorial of someone taking like this puff pastry and tying twine around it and sticking a pretzel in the middle and making it into like a pumpkin shape. Okay, so that, yeah, because they had cheese, so I think it was Gouda and then a little bit of raspberry jam because I like raspberries. And the berry time of the year is around this time, so I just kind of feel like it fits in with the nature. And I think I can see a little bit of, maybe it was brie. Yeah, it wasn't Gouda, it was brie. A little bit of cheese, honey, and other stuff up in the corner with bread. I think I homemade that bread too for people to use. And then my friend brought her banana bread, I believe, or is it pumpkin bread maybe? Pumpkin bread would make more sense. So yeah, that was a good little time. Okay, I believe at this point on to 2024. So 2024, I worked in London again in October for a little bit. And then afterward, like after I was done working, my dad flew out and met me, my dad and my stepmom, and then we went up to Scotland. But along the way, stopped in York and went to York Ghost. I forget, is the full thing just like the York Ghost Company? So I guess the background there, if you haven't heard of it, is that York is one of the oldest cities, but then it is also one of the most haunted. So yeah, the York Ghost Merchant is what it is called. I had seen it probably on TikTok or something, and I was like, I want to go there. I just thought the city looked really cool, and I wanted to see the city, and the York Ghost Merchants was just an additional icing on top of the cake for me. When I went, actually, the line wasn't too bad, so I don't know if they hadn't blown up quite as much yet. I think I've seen recently that lines can get up to like 5 hours. I think I was in line for 45 minutes. Still long, but doable. But I should, oh here. Yep, this was the one that called to me personally, and it was also a specialty ghost. There's this running joke in my family that put me in a room and I will find the most expensive thing is the thing that I like. I blame my Taurus Sun Libra rising for both of those, but this one was a really cool one because the top is almost like a metallic bronze color, and then the bottom is like a dark black charcoal. Which matches a lot of my decor. But yeah, Scotland in autumn, beautiful. This is a pretty famous like coffee shop overlook that I went to that looks at the castle. But yeah, you can see the autumn leaves. It was just such a vibe to be there in October. I walked through a bunch of cemeteries. Again, a lot of videos more so than photos, which I guess I could share. I think I can do that as an overlay as well. Yeah, it was just so pretty there. It rained a bunch, which, you know, makes sense. I also got incredibly sick on that trip, so I was a little bit lower energy. I didn't document as much as I normally would, but we did spend one day going up to the Scottish Highlands. So pretty. Highly recommend if you ever get a chance. Got a couple photos of there to insert in here. And the Harry Coos. Yeah, I can't get over how pretty that city is, and just like exploring the alleys. Stunning. And then that year, I don't think I decorated until I came back. Where are we in? 2024? Yeah. I don't think I decorated until I came back because I was gone at the very beginning of October. Yeah. Okay, so I did the mantle before I left, but this was the first year I did the floating pumpkins in the window, and I did not even carve those until pretty close to Halloween time. So that I did, and those are now an addition that will be in my windows every year. I think they're really fun and whimsical. Feels kind of witchy to have them hanging there and floating. And that brings us to 2025. You've seen how I've decorated. If you haven't, I highly recommend go watch those videos. And I can do next year another recap, maybe adding this on. But that is, in summary, how I have spent the past few years, fall, autumn, October specifically timeframe. And it has been a lot of fun to watch this. Just one, to go through these with you, and then just to watch how my style has developed. Maybe comment your favorite October, Halloween, autumn tradition or memory. That would be kind of fun to see people's thoughts and see what they've done with their Halloween time. But yeah, comment down below what either your favorite tradition or your favorite Halloween memory. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.